let me ask you this: as you look at the texts, do they need to make a bigger commitment to the run game? If let's play the hypothetical, they get to the postseason. Seahawks are a playoff team. They win these next two, and everything falls their way, and they're headed to the postseason. In order for them to win in the post, it's one thing to get there. You want them to make some noise in there. Can they do that with the way they've not run the ball? Do they need to commit to the ball more than they have, to running the ball more than they have?
Yeah, I think we agreed on who the best player on defense was, and it's probably not even close. And that's Devin Witherspoon. Who's the best player on offense?
I don't know.
Because that really it should be Geno.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, the other one I would say number 2 A and B would be Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. So maybe they're doing the right thing. Leaning on the pass game because those are their best players. And really just as far as an athlete and a football player and everything, I guess if you put my feet to the fire, I would say DK's your best offensive player. And, getting it in his hands and Geno's probably in there somewhere. But I don't know that Ken Walker and Zach Charbonnet and then just our offensive line, the way they block, that they are – that's our strongest point of our team.
Right. It's a weird part of this season and what we've seen. So the idea that they're going to change substantially in terms of the way they approach the offense based on being in the playoffs, maybe not realistic. Are they going to look dramatically different? Are they going to, maybe they have a few more running plays? I don't know. It would seems like it would take a lot of pressure off the line. Typically, pass blocking is harder for a line that's struggling versus run blocking. They get to go hit somebody, take some pressure off of Geno, having to pass them to victory, if you will. Everything's on his shoulders. If they could, just sort of, I don't know, ease the burden for both a line that's trying to find it and a quarterback that's struggling behind that line at times with the protection. So, yeah, it seems like a healthy run game would be a cure-all or certainly a big help.
Well, it's a quarterback's best friend. And then the other thing, you always see that or hear that the offensive linemen love it. Yeah. They love running the ball. They want to be aggressive. So, yeah, I mean, maybe they can develop into that. Maybe they need to, just go on the side. We got some sound from Pete there, though, that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, this is first one is after the second 49ers loss. And this is him talking about needing to find a way to get more out of the run game.
We need to get more yards out of it. And we've hit a threshold for some reason of 20 to 23 plays. And we need to run the ball a few more times and take advantage of it. It's just part of mixing the whole thing. So I'm hoping we can continue to go. We're going to need it down the stretch here.
Is that pointed to the coordinator? Because he's talking about the number of plays, not, hey, we need to be better at opening up holes, or we need to be better at seeing those holes. Or it didn't seem like that comment was really directed at players.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's the noteworthy part of it is that was after the 49ers'
second loss. And then
he did it again after the Cowboys' loss.
Not as good as it needs to be. We stayed with it. We ran the things that we wanted to run last night to try to force the issues and allow us to throw off of that. And so that part of it was okay. But we weren't, no breakouts, to speak of, and not enough space. And so it wasn't as good as it needs to be.
So that sounded more about the players, like there wasn't enough space or breakout, what have you. That seemed like that comment was directed more at the players, where the first one he was talking about, we get stuck on 22, 23, whatever the numbers he threw out there.
Yeah.
That seemed maybe more pointed at the coordinator as opposed to players, and then the Cowboys one seemed more about the players.
Yeah. Well, and I'm thinking of the offensive line. Is there somebody that's just like a dominator? I mean, I think Abraham Lucas kind of has that personality, but, are we seeing guys just getting flat back by Damian Lewis, like these run blocks where you just
Bradford's aggressive. We see he's got a temper.
I like that.
He does.
I like an angry guard.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
it's hard to – he's a rookie. It's hard to get too wrapped up into what he's not doing or what's not going right with him. I mean, they seem to be, for the most part, they're adequate. Are they great? No. Are they awful? They have been at times. To me, they're just kind of somewhere in the middle as a collective.
Yeah. They just haven't established themselves as, you don't see a guy downfield, blocking. I'll tell you what, the Commanders game, I really thought after that game that they've kind of figured it out. They did actually have that. And what you see in the 49er run game is you see a body on a body. And and like I said, it comes together like it's a beautiful thing, as Pete would say. But I mean, it really is like this guy comes up field, you You pull a guy, he gets blocked. The tight end goes up on the linebacker, and it just opens up like the Red Sea. I love that. To me, it's one of my favorite things to look at. Like, I love a good throw from the outfield. That's right on the money at home plate, or, watching a nice smooth pick and roll in basketball. But when you get a body on a body, and it's bad for defenders, so I'm surprised I like this, but you might be surprised. It's something I thought that they were going to be able to do the rest of the year, and haven't really seen that since the Commander game.
Yeah, they ran the ball 26 times in that game against the Commanders for 120 yards. Geno threw it 47 times in that game. So, yeah, I mean, there was 19 carries for Ken Walker in that game, 63 yards. Zach Charbonnet had 6 carries for 44 yards, and then Geno had 1 scramble. But, yeah, just an element of the game that if they could just be, they don't have to be a dominating rushing attack, but if that threat is there, if they can just be good enough to be a threat that the defense truly needs to account for it and prepare for it, seems like it'd take a lot of pressure off that line in Geno. And they haven't really gotten there.
Yeah. Well, and then so for that reason, I mean, what does this team hang their hat on? What is the? I'll say one thing. I think they're second or third as far as giveaways. So they've really taken care of the football. They've done a good job with that. I mentioned earlier. I'm pretty sure that's accurate. I'm going to look it up again for you, but that they've lost 1 fumble this year. So, and that's not including strip sacks with Geno. Yeah, I feel like that they're good at that. They're starting to come into their own defensively, but yeah, it's not like this team is, the things you want to go into the playoffs with are a really good run game, and you want to be able to take the ball away, which, I think they're +6, maybe 1 more than that now. So yeah, it's kind of it's a good question. Because, and I'm curious, people can text throughout the day, 866-979-3776, Mac and Jack's text line. I'm just curious if people think they're less, the same, or better. And I feel like my vote is, I feel like they're kind of the same team they were last year.
Yeah.